Yeah, I would like to talk about the first time I got introduced into the karate scene, which where we always would walk to Huntington Park to do karate. It was on Sundays we used to walk to Huntington Park to do karate. But today I wanted to talk about one of my best friends. His name is Keith Woods. They call him Cato. He's from Fire 9. He later on would be called Cato because he liked it Bruce Lee so much in Cato and the Green Hornet. And today I wanted to talk about my best friend. He just got out of jail a few years back. But the first time I met Cato, we was going to elementary school at Miramonte. Miramonte is located between Hooper and Compton Avenue, 68, 67, 69. And Cato, we was in the chow hall one day. A lot of guys came out this school that is kind of like big time guys in the gangs. Dude named Tank, which is called Lil Flux now, Big Lil Flux. You had Freeman Houston, you had Drac and them, all three of them, his sister Miyoshi. You had a lot of guys, Prentice went to the school with us, Greg, his brother Greg, my brother went to, a lot of 68th Street boys went there, a lot of guys that's around Miramonte, because it was a big elementary school, and a lot of us went there, and a lot of us went to Palmolive, and a lot of us went to Miramonte. But to make a long story short, me and Cato was in the kitchen one day, and Cato told me that he had some nunchucks. And you know, I was talking all that crazy stuff, because I used to play marbles real good. And I played marbles real good, and I used to tumble real good, and I played basketball. So we was in the kitchen one day, and Cato had some nunchucks. This is the first time I seen nunchucks outside of Enter the Dragon and Chuck Norris and Jim Kelly. So we were actually had an assembly with Jim Kelly came there, and this was the first time I actually seen a real karate guy that was on TV, and his name was Jim Kelly. He had the fastest back arms in America, which what he would do, he was going boom, boom, and three hard way. He played a guy in there, Jim Kelly, and then but what I want to talk about Cato is, but I asked Jim Kelly, I say, man, why do the black men always die in the karate movies? And he was like, man, next time, man, I'm not gonna play that kind of role where I die. I think that was an Enter the Dragon. Now, Cato, we was in the kitchen, and Cato, which is Keith Woods, brought out some nunchucks. He had some small nunchucks, and Cato got up, and he said, yeah, let me show y'all how to do this, work these nunchucks like Bruce Lee. So he worked it, boom, 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 boom. He really threw that. I mean, he was whop, 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 all in the back, around the head, around the neck, boom, boom. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, man, I ain't gonna let this dude outdo me, man. Let me see them nunchucks, man. I said, yeah, man, I know how to do the nunchuck too. So I act like I was Bruce Lee, and I flipped the nunchuck, hit myself in the head, boom! And everybody was laughing at me, man, and I say, man, I ain't know. I thought I was still gonna be able to do him, like he was doing it, but I couldn't do him. But that's when me and Cato became best friends. So what happened was, me, Cato, we end up. His name was Keith back then. We end up going to he had a house on 71st and Hooper. He was kin to down the street from the Browns. The Browns have a big family. They all in Lancaster. They all in the 50s. They got a big family. So Cato taught me how to make nunchucks. So we would take brooms and cut the brooms, and we would take choke chains and put the choke chains and nail the choke chains on the end of the sticks, and that's how we made nunchucks. This was one of the first times I ever made nunchucks, and I was in elementary school. That's when we was crazy about Bruce Lee, man. I mean, we had the posters, we had the karate shoes. We used to take turns. My mom used to pay for us to have karate lessons up at Miramonte on the grass with a guy named Alton. Alton was a real good karate expert, and he used to teach us karate. And then we used to go against Michael Allen and James Allen. They was brothers. They thought they had the hidden secrets to karate, because James was real good and Michael was real good. Then we was tumbling at the same time with the Bruce Lee karate thing. So we used to go to Huntington Park on Sundays or Saturdays, and we used to catch the bus, and we used to go to the movie theaters, I think it was Kung Fu Theater. And we used to be there all day, and we used to go in the morning, and we used to be there all day into the nighttime watching the karate movies. One of the first karate movies I seen was one called The Hammer of God. It was a guy that was, he grew up and he was a karate guy, and he lost and he had to get one of his arms cut off, and he became the one-armed bandit. And they had a karate studio on the corner of Huntington Park, Florence and Huntington Park on the corner. That was one of the first karate studios that I seen. And the other one was when my mom took me to, me and my brothers and them to see Jim Kelly at his studio. To see the karate at Jim Kelly's studio, and Chuck Norris had a studio on Crenshaw. So now, while we was doing karate all day, we would go home, we would walk home, and we would do karate all the way from Huntington Park, stop at the McDonald's, fuel up, and then we would go karate all the way home. I'm taping. Or we would go karate all the way home to go through this Miramani, go all the way from Huntington Park all the way to Central. That's what we used to do karate all the way home at night, just because we thought we was Bruce Lee. Then another time, the police, if you had nunchucks, they would charge you as a weapon. And if you had a knife that was 4 fingers long, they would charge you as a deadly weapon. But one of the best guys in our neighborhood that knew karate was a guy named Ethan. Ethan was a Vietnam veteran, and he knew karate real good. And we never really seen Ethan do karate, but we would see Ethan do karate on the police. And that's how come we didn't have guns back then, and we didn't have a lot of things that we needed to fight each other violently, but we did have nunchucks. And nunchucks was one of the most deadliest weapons inside of South Central in the 70s. And not only that, we had nunchucks, we also took up karate, which was karate where we would be in our yards, jumping over fences. We would be up at the park doing pull-ups. We would even go to the elementary school doing all kind of martial arts all over the city. And one time, my brother gave a talent show up at Miramani. This was a talent show, and I never seen so many black karate show that actually was real legit. I wish we would have filmed it when I was younger, because we had the real karate thing. I seen dudes bust bricks with their head. I seen them break bricks with their hand. And this was a real performance that the guy named, the brothers, they put on the show. And later on, these guys became firemen, and they worked at the Miramani. And we love karate so much, man, that we used to practice our moves day in and day out. That's why when I started going to different parts of the city, I would always incorporate my karate with my fighting. And then they came up with a thing called kickboxing, which it got kind of big for a minute, but it wasn't bigger than karate. And I think that Bruce Lee really set the tone of the karate in Los Angeles, because I didn't really like Kung Fu, because Kung Fu was too, Europeanized. And they should have let Bruce Lee, man, really take care of the karate in that particular time, because, man, we had all the posters, we had all the moves. We used to buy these books, and we used to practice all the all the hand movements just from the book. And we had guys, man, that really, really thought they knew karate. And we went to see every karate movie on Kung Fu Theater every Saturday or Sunday, and we used to always practice. Hundreds and hundreds of man hours of practicing karate. And my friend Cato, as years got on, that's why they call him Cato. He's from 5'9". And I just wanted to talk about Cato because he was my best friend. And I'm glad that he's out of jail. And maybe one day we get a chance to spar against each other as we get older. I'm still a black belt, and I'm pretty sure he's a black belt too.